The story of a great man from Nigeria, Africa named General Murtala Mohammed, Nigeria, 1970s. A young nation, just recovering from the wounds of the civil war that ended in 1970, stood at a crossroads. The scars of Biafra were still visible, but so was the promise of rebirth. The country had survived secession, bloodshed, and division. Now it stood on the verge of greatness. Oil had been discovered in the Niger Delta, and the world was thirsty for it. The global oil crisis of 1973 had made Nigeria rich overnight. Money was pouring in, billions of dollars that promised highways, skyscrapers, schools, hospitals, and a modern dream of African excellence. But wealth, as history teaches us, often brings both promise and peril. Nigeria was no exception. The oil boom of the mid-70s opened the door to prosperity, but also to corruption, greed, and disillusionment. Amid this mix of hope and decay, one man rose to power. General Murtala Ramat Mohammed, the fiery soldier who would change the direction of Nigeria in just 200 days. His story is one of courage, vision, and tragedy. The oil boom, a blessing and a curse. In 1973, oil prices quadrupled due to the Arab-Israeli war. Nations dependent on oil imports suffered, but producers like Nigeria became overnight giants. Lagos, the bustling capital, turned into a land of cranes and construction sites. Government revenues swelled. Nigerian officials spoke of national greatness, of transforming the country into the giant of Africa. Imports flooded in, cars from Europe, electronics from Japan, and cement from everywhere. Cement imports grew so absurdly that it led to what Nigerians called the cement armada crisis. Hundreds of ships stuck at Lagos ports, unable to unload their cargo because the harbors were clogged. It was a symbol of both wealth and waste. Before we continue, don't forget to like and subscribe to get access to more relevant videos of Africa like this and more. Civil servants lived lavishly. Politicians, military officers, and contractors swam in oil money. Yet in the rural villages of the north and the creeks of the Niger Delta, poverty persisted. The oil boom was supposed to lift all boats, but corruption ensured that the yachts of the elite sailed higher, while the dugout canoes of the poor remained stuck in the mud. Nigeria was rich, yes, but it was a fragile, unstable wealth. Nigeria's young history had already been turbulent. Since independence in 1960, military coups had become the language of power. The first coup of 1966 toppled the civilian government. A counter-coup the same year installed General Yakubu Gowon. Gowon led the nation through the Civil War, and after victory in 1970, he promised to return the country to civilian rule. But years passed and Gowon clung to power. By 1975, he had ruled for 9 years. The oil money fueled corruption in his government. Roads remained unbuilt, power supply erratic, schools overcrowded. Nigerians grumbled. With so much money, why was life still so hard? Within the military, whispers grew louder. Gowon had overstayed. He had lost the fire of leadership. The promise of returning Nigeria to democracy seemed a lie. The rise of Murtala Mohammed. In July 1975, while General Gowon was attending an OAU summit in Uganda, a group of young officers staged a coup. Leading them was Brigadier Murtala Ramat Mohammed, a tough, outspoken soldier from Kano. Murtala was not new to controversy. He had fought in the Civil War, commanding troops during the brutal Onitsha battles. Known for his fiery temper and uncompromising stance, he was both feared and respected. Now, in 1975, he was thrust into power as Nigeria's new head of state. At just 37 years old, Murtala became the symbol of a new dawn. Unlike Gowon, he was impatient, radical, and bold. Nigerians, tired of Gowon's slow pace and corruption, welcomed Murtala with open arms. Murtala wasted no time. His government was like a thunderstorm sweeping across the land. Civil service purge. In one stroke, Murtala retired over 10,000 civil servants, military officers, and public officials accused of inefficiency or corruption. Some wept, some cursed, but many Nigerians cheered. For once, someone was holding the powerful accountable. Urban reform. Lagos was overcrowded and chaotic. Murtala announced plans to move Nigeria's capital to Abuja, a central location that could unite North and South. Economic reform. He attacked wasteful spending, canceling shady contracts and warning foreign companies that Nigeria would no longer be cheated. Pan-African stance, internationally, Murtala raised Nigeria's voice. He supported liberation movements in Angola, Mozambique, and southern Africa. At the 1976 OAU summit in Addis Ababa, he declared, "Africa has come of age. It is no longer under the orbit of any extracontinental power." His fiery speech won him admiration across the continent. Like subscribe. It was becoming the true leader. His fiery speech won him admiration across the continent. Nigeria was no longer a giant with clay feet. It was becoming the true leader of Africa. For ordinary Nigerians, these reforms felt like a breath of fresh air. Confidence returned. Students, workers, and peasants believed, perhaps for the first time, that the government was truly working for them. Murtala was not a typical leader. He was simple in taste, often driving himself without a convoy. He refused luxury, living in modest quarters despite the billions Nigeria earned from oil. His discipline was military, but his heart burned for justice. Yet he was also ruthless. His civil service purge, while popular, left thousands jobless overnight. His impatience sometimes translated to authoritarian commands. But in the eyes of most Nigerians, he was the strong medicine the nation needed. As we continue, don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Let's continue. The tragic end. Just as Nigeria was beginning to believe in a new dawn, tragedy struck. On the morning of February 13, 1976, Murtala Mohammed left his house in Ikoyi, Lagos, heading to his office. Unlike other African leaders, he rejected heavy security. That day, as his black Mercedes-Benz car slowed at a traffic light in Ikoyi, gunmen opened fire. Bullets tore through the car. Murtala was killed instantly. Nigeria was thrown into chaos. The bold radical leader who had promised so much was gone in less than 200 days. His assassination shocked the nation, and millions wept. The coup attempt failed, and his deputy, Olusegun Obasanjo, took over, promising to continue his legacy. But Nigerians knew the fire, the energy, the fearless voice of Murtala Mohammed was irreplaceable. His legacy, Murtala Mohammed ruled for barely 6 months, yet his impact was eternal. Abuja eventually became the capital, fulfilling his vision. His Pan-African speech is still quoted today as a defining moment of African pride. Nigerians remember him as the people's general, a leader who lived simply, died young, but left a giant footprint on the nation's path. For a nation that has seen many leaders come and go, Murtala stands out as a symbol of what Nigeria could be: bold, disciplined, and unafraid to lead Africa onto the world stage. Nigeria in the mid-70s was a nation of contradictions: oil wealth and grinding poverty, high hopes and bitter corruption, promises of democracy and cycles of coups. But in that storm, one man rose like a lightning bolt: General Murtala Mohammed. He was not perfect, he was not gentle, but he was real. In his short time, he reminded Nigerians and the world that leadership could be bold, that Africa could stand tall, and that even in a land clouded by greed, a spark of integrity could still shine. And though the bullets of 1976 silenced him, his voice still echoes in Nigerian history. Make your comment as how you see Nigeria and Africa in the next 10 years. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. To watch the next part, search African Legend 3. Thanks for watching this far. We cherish you. We appreciate your support as we continue to bring you valuable content. Every like, share, and subscription helps us grow and reach more people who can benefit from our videos. Kindly like, share for awareness, and subscribe to get more valuable videos like these.